Hello there, good afternoon, and welcome back to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in from wherever it is that you're watching this from today and at whichever time that you're catching this. My name is Robert K. Sarkos, and welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be going through or discussing all the results from the Premier League's Match Day 7 on Saturday. There are plenty of games played, with just one game slated for Sunday. That's between Nottingham Forest and Brentford, while the other game will come on Monday night as Chelsea do travel to Fulham. So let's dive into all of that. The action did kick off at the Villa Park, where Aston Villa thrashed Brighton by 6 goals to 1. Now, as decent as Brighton have looked this season, they got a beating of a lifetime. 6-1, it was the final score in that game. Unai Emery getting the better of Roberto De Zerbi in that fixture. Like I had said, that if there was any team that do know how to beat up against Brighton, especially when they are hosting them at their own turf, it was Aston Villa. Now, whereas you could have expected an upset in terms of recent history, it was Brighton that looked capable to make that upset. But it looks like it was never meant to be, as Aston Villa beat them badly, 6-1. Ollie Watkins there with a hat-trick, while Jacob Ramsey, Douglas Luiz, and Pavis Estupinan there scoring in the back of his own goal in that 6-1 drubbing. Ansu Fati did manage to score, the only consolation for Roberto De Zerbi's side, who have now lost, I think, 3 of their last 5 games. Remember, they did lose to Chelsea by 1-0 in the Carabao Cup third round, and then they lost their first fixture in the UEFA Europa League by 3-2 against AEK Athens there. So that was the result there. I think they just didn't turn up. They just didn't put on a good performance at all. That is why they were beaten badly. They will be hoping to do better when they return into action on a Thursday in the Europa League. So the other game, so Arsenal beat Bournemouth by 4-0 away at the Vitality Stadium. 4 goals. Bukayo Saka, who many of us didn't think would even start the game, was the one that opened the scoring in the 17th minute of the game. And then Martin Odegaard doubled that lead before halftime through a penalty kick, following a foul by Max Aarons on Eddie Nketiah there. So the referee did award a penalty, and Martin Odegaard converted it to score for the second time in a row on his visit at the Vitality Stadium. In the second half, again, Arsenal did win themselves a penalty when Martin Odegaard was the one fouled this time around in the area, and the penalty following a team consensus decision between the key leaders there in Gabriel Jesus, Martin Odegaard, and Cole. They gave it to Kai Havertz, who made no mistake but to convert it against Neto in goal for him to get his first goal of the season for the Gunners. So Kai Havertz is off the mark there. Brilliant penalty, well taken. Overall, I think he had a wonderful game. In the first half, he didn't look so decent, but in the second half, especially after scoring that goal, he looked a much better player. So then Ben White was the other on target late on in the game with a header there to make it 4-0 for the visitors, to send them third on the Premier League table as things stand following yesterday's results. The other fixture at 5 p.m. saw Everton lose by 2-1 at home against Luton Town. Now, this is one of those results that we did expect in the weekend. It was a surprise result, given that Luton was in the search for their first victory of the season. It is not surprising that they would go ahead and get it against Everton, but it is in the manner in which they managed to put themselves in a 2-0 lead through Lockrey and Carlton Morris there to make it 2-0, while Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored what turned out to be the only consolation of the game. Now Everton, back of two successive victories in the Premier League and in the Carabao Cup against Brentford by 3-1 and against Aston Villa by 2-1 respectively, you had hoped that they had it in them to beat up against a Luton Town side, but like surprises do not discriminate in the Premier League, there it was for us. Sean Dyche's side beaten 2-1 by Luton. In the other game, we saw Manchester United also lose by a goal to nil. Joachim Anderson there on target for the only goal of the game that earned Crystal Palace all 3 points against Manchester United, a side that had just beaten them on Tuesday this week by 3-0 in the Carabao Cup. I remember somebody joking on X that Manchester United play much better in the Carabao Cup as compared to when they are playing in the Premier League. So practically, the performances they should be putting in the Carabao Cup should be moved to the Premier League. So poor result there for Manchester United and Erik ten Hag, who we thought had started to build in some momentum, especially knowing that they have engagements coming their way in the UEFA Champions League. So where does that leave Manchester United? It leaves them with 4 losses in their opening 7 fixtures of the 2023-2024 Premier League season. 3 victories, 4 losses, no draw for the Red Devils. There, moving forward, West Ham United beat up against Sheffield United by 2-0. I think this is one of those results that we did expect going into the weekend. West Ham had everything going for them to go and pick a decent result against Sheffield United, especially given that they were at their own home at the London Stadium. Gerard Bowen and Thomas Soucek there with 2 first-half goals that decided the tie in the weekend. And then came the big surprise, or the biggest surprise of the weekend, as Wolves beat up against Manchester City by 2-1. Now, years gone by, when Nuno Espirito Santo was still the manager of Wolves, it was never surprising for him to go ahead and beat up against a Pep Guardiola side. In fact, he did that more than once. I can't remember correctly. But in recent times, Wolves have not looked anything close to that side that was under the stewardship of Nuno Espirito Santo, who is currently in Saudi Arabia. In fact, they were in search for maximum points coming into the weekend, but you didn't expect that they would pick them all 3 points against a perfect Manchester City, who had yet to lose a game, winning all 6 of the opening fixtures there. But it was an own goal from Ruben Diaz and Huang, the Korean guy, like Pep Guardiola referred to him in his pre-match press conference, that were on target for Wolves, while Julian Alvarez scored a free kick there to pull one back for Manchester City. But at the time when he scored that free kick, he had leveled the score to 1-1 before Wang found the winning goal for Gary O'Neill's side that hadn't looked pretty bad in terms of how they play, but the results do not tell the story of their performances on the pitch. So that was the result there. So 2 losses on the spin for Manchester City. Remember, they did lose by 0-0 against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup before losing by 2-1 against Wolves. Ruben Diaz with the unfortunate own goal there to sort of dismay them. The other result on the day was the controversial 2-1 victory for Tottenham Hotspurs against Liverpool in the late kickoff on Saturday. Pure drama there. Liverpool receiving 2 red cards for Curtis Jones and Diego Jota to leave them down to 9 men. But even when that was the case, they did manage to fight very well to stay into the game, but it was never meant to be, with Joel Matip scoring in the back of his own net very late on in the game to win it for Ange Postecoglou's side. So it was it was Son that opened the scoring in the aftermath of a Luis Diaz goal that was disallowed for offside, with VAR failing to intervene in what was a correct goal but disallowed. And then we move to the opposite side of the pitch, and Son scores, break the deadlock. So 1-0 there it was, but not for too long, because Cody Gakpo managed to bring a 10-man Liverpool back to level in the game. So then Diego Jota receives a red card on a second booking, and then eventually we had that Joel Matip own goal that won it all for Liverpool. And the Pidgeot, after that, poor performance of the officials, have come out to release this statement saying that here is how the Pidgeot statement reads. Pidgeot acknowledges a significant human error occurred during the first half of Tottenham Hotspurs versus Liverpool. The goal by Luis Diaz was disallowed for offside by the on-field team of match officials. This was a clear and obvious factual error and should have resulted in the goal being awarded through VAR intervention. However, the VAR failed to intervene. Horrible. Pidgeot will conduct a full review into the circumstances which led to the error. Pidgeot will immediately be contacting Liverpool at the conclusion of the fixture to acknowledge the error. So that was a statement from Pidgeot, and clearly Jurgen Klopp is not pleased with that statement, and he expressed his feelings very, very clear going into in the aftermath of that game. Liverpool were robbed, and he had this to say. Who does that help? That is in response to the statement. We had the situation in the Manchester United game. I think he's referring to that game against Wolverhampton Wanderers, where they were also denied a clear and obvious penalty when goalkeeper Andre Onana clattered into a Wolves striker in that game on match day 1, when Manchester United won the game by 1-0, Rafael Varane scoring in that game. So he continues to say, did Wolves get the points for it? We won't get the points for it. Goes ahead to say, we all thought that when VAR came in it would make things easier. So that was Jurgen Klopp's statement in response to the Pidgeot statement that was put out. Now, remember, we had similar scenarios against Arsenal versus Brentford, 1-1 at the Emirates Stadium. There, Ivan Toney scoring a goal, and it was clearly offside, but it was let to stand. That is an action that impacted the result of the game, as was the case yesterday. I also did think that the red card was a little too harsh, especially for Curtis Jones, because there's no clear and obvious intention to harm the opponent's player, but does, he slides to take on the ball, which he actually does, and then his ball falls over into Jovis Bissouma. But it depends on which way you look at it in terms of that red card. So it is what it was. Very, very poor performance from the match officials there. More surprising, the VAR. Why did they not intervene in checking that goal out as they always do? They just took it on face value that the officials had been right, but they weren't. So that was the drama from match day 7 in the Premier League on Saturday. But like I said, football continues on Sunday, Monday, and then on Tuesday with that rescheduled game between Luton Town against Burnley. On Monday night, it is Fulham against Chelsea. But action will proceed with Champions League fixtures that will be coming your way, especially from your favorite teams across the Premier League. But these will be the fixtures for the Champions League on Tuesday. Now, on Tuesday, we'll have Copenhagen host Bayern Munich, that's in Group A, while Manchester United will be at home against Galatasaray. All kick-off will be at 10 p.m. East African time. Arsenal travel to France where they'll play Lens, and PSV Eindhoven will host Sevilla. Union Berlin will play Braga, that is in Group C, while Napoli will host Real Madrid on Tuesday. That is for Group A, B, and C. The other fixtures of the Champions League on Wednesday in Group E, we will have Atletico Madrid host Feyenoord, while Celtic will be at home against Lazio. In Group F, AC Milan will travel to Germany to play Borussia Dortmund, while Newcastle will be at home against PSG. In Group G, we'll have Red Star Belgrade play Young Boys, while RB Leipzig in Germany will host Manchester City. So that is the Champions League action that will be coming your way in the midweek on Tuesday and Wednesday. Do keep an eye out on that and look forward to that action. Interesting games there. Newcastle against PSG, AC Milan, Dortmund, very, very big games, and I do think it will be a big game for Manchester United and Galatasaray. Big question marks will be put on Erik ten Hag should he fail to win that game. So that's it from the Football Tribe desk. Do let me know in the comments section what you think of those views, where you differ, where you agree, and do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and turn on the notifications button. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. Have a blessed new week ahead and the rest of your Sunday.